Y'all see the title, man. Let's get to it. Another Larry Bird trash talking story, man. He's the OD.
You guys played the Celtics, Big Three, in the playoffs, '88. What were those matchups like?
They're brutal.
We were trying to go at each other's throat.
It was unbelievable. I mean, Game 7.
Game 7 of the 1988 Eastern Conference semifinals. For Dominique Wilkins and the Hawks, and Larry Bird and the Celtics. It was a time to test their championship resolve. For 3 quarters, the teams fought to a standstill. But it was only a prelude to what was to come. As the final quarter began, a grueling personal contest of can you top this was about to begin.
That's free. Here's Wilkins. That's what they must have. It's a duel. Put down your saber. What a game.
Two men who brought out the best in each other.
I don't know why they're doing this, y'all.
While I was in college, I used to watch and get Sports Illustrated, and I remember seeing Dominique Wilkins. And I said, man, I would love to play with this guy, not knowing anything about the Hawks, but it was like, I would love to play with him. And then not knowing anything about the Hawks, but
I respected that. At least Larry jumped, man.
I would love to play with this guy,
I saw Larry trying to get that joint.
Hawks, but it was like, I would love to play with him. And then ended up getting drafted by Atlanta. Now Nick's my teammate. And I was like, I mean, a dream come true.
You think about those Atlanta teams with Dominique and Spud and Doc Rivers.
Tree Rollins.
And so, they for sure had the respect of us. Kevin Willis was a good player. And Dominique and Doc Rivers and Spud Webb came off their bench.
Randy Whip,
Tree Rollins,
Kevin Willis, Kevin Willis, Cliff Robinson,
Cliff Levinson,
the original big dog. Yeah.
We were grown, we were young, we were really athletic. We had that energy that a team would need. And all we had to do was build chemistry, begin to understand each other's games, weaknesses and strengths. And we did that, and we started to flourish after the first 4 or 5 years.
They were a deep team that could score the ball, and if we weren't at our best, we were in trouble.
But with that team, they were so fun to watch because Dominique was the headliner, but everyone else around him. When you talk about Spud Webb, they would come over and play with us across the street at Georgia Tech. You say, this little joker can flat out go. First small guy in the dunk contest, win the dunk contest, all that hype around them. The question would be, when it got crunch time, the other team would outsmart them. That was their downfall.
That was a pretty good bunch to not win it all. And they had that one, remember the Dominique, Larry Bird, big shooter.
It's Game 7 in 1988 against the Atlanta Hawks. Dominique and Larry Bird.
One of the most clutch moments. I remember watching it as a kid. Got me hyped. I went outside and started shooting outside of the playground, pretending I was both of y'all. But
nah, that's bro. That's like, it's iconic, man. I can't argue with that. Like, when it's, you know what I'm saying, when you got the kids going outside, you know what I'm saying, you gotta get some shots up now because we see the greatness. That's how you know your icon is on one of them.
Conference semifinals. Neek and Bird.
Game 7, the Dominique Bird series.
Shot for shot.
Shot for shot.
Dominique and Bird going back and forth.
You know, we should have eliminated them in 6.
Well, the whole series was crazy. Game 1 and 2, the Celtics won by like a combined 80 points. Like, they blew us out.
As the Hawks found themselves down to the final gasp. But back home in the Omni, they were flying high. The offensive spark plug, little Spud Webb, found a way to slither through the Celtic defense, putting together a career-best playoff performance and igniting the Hawks to a much-needed victory.
I remember coming back for Game 3 to Atlanta, and the big article in Atlanta Journal was put a fork in them, we're done. You know, and then we win Game 3 and then win Game 4, go into Boston and win Game 5. And that was a great game. I think we took control.
Great.
The Atlanta Hawks just will not surrender to the favored Boston Celtics.
It's kind of a clash of two worlds. In Bird, you've got somebody who's already an icon. He's already been sanctified as a Boston Saint. And Dominique represents a different kind of basketball.
We had him, Matt, the one time we were up 3-2.
We won game 5 in Boston. We was not supposed to win that game, the critics say. So we knew going to game 6, I said, man, we could advance and we can beat these guys.
The frenetic Hawks, led by the Freakazoid, had old school Boston by the throat. Up 3-2 in the best-of-7 series.
All Atlanta has to do is go down to Atlanta and close the series out.
And then the last play in game 6 was, Dominique and I were the two guys that scored.
And at the end of the game, we drew up a play.
I called a timeout because they knew what we were running. We called another one.
It turned into a broken play.
I inbounded the ball to Cliff Livingston, and he was supposed to dribble handoff to either me or Dominique. DJ read it, and he top-sided me. Cliff looked at Dominique, and then Cliff went on his own.
I went to basket left-hand running hook. I was mad.
Cliff's right-handed. He shot a left-handed hook shot.
Livingston, no. Boston has won the game.
Is that the same Livingston that
come to me, and I'm
ended
like,
up on the Chicago Bulls?
Woody, don't break the play, bro. And so we ended up losing that game, and after the game.
And I remember this old lady at the airport. I mean, and I'm not exaggerating. She may have been 80. Had her little purse, and she walked up to me. Hey, Rivers, you thought you wasn't coming back, did you? I will never forget that. I wish I knew who that lady was.
Barry made a prediction. He said, Atlanta blew their opportunity. I'm guaranteeing a win in Boston.
Well, they had their chance. They had a big chance to beat us. I think now that we're going to come out and play like we did tonight, but we're going to be at home. And our shots are going to be dropping a little bit better, and we're going to be running a little bit faster. So I'd say Sunday's going to be a big win for the Celtics.
And we had to look at that, right? I guarantee a win. Atlanta blew their opportunity. And I'm like, hey, I don't know what Bird talking about. We have a great opportunity. We going in there. We going to kick their butt. We coming to win. I don't care what he said. We get to Boston, and we walk out of the locker room, and I stop.
That's the energy you gotta have.
We going to win this bleep game. I said, if you ain't ready to fight, you ain't ready to go to war.
If you ain't, for real though.
You ain't ready to go to war, don't
if you're not on the same timing as me, you know what I'm saying? It's that time, you heard?
You out in the court.
So
don't come out here. I said, whoever guarding me tonight gonna have a long night.
Don't come out here.
Same thing. In the
real though.
Another locker room to his teammates. So it set up for one of the greatest shootouts ever in the 7th game. And I remember
Larry Bird. He passed by our locker room. He's like, there's nobody in here can guard me. But he was just playing though. Yeah, because he was friends.
I remember before this big game against Dominique, that Larry was out shooting, and I was out shooting early at one end of the court. Larry was down at the other end, and I noticed that Larry was down there like shooting left-handed jump hooks from like 12, 15 feet. Now, he made left-handed shots, but I saw him shooting right-handed jump hooks from 12 or 15 feet. And I went down there and go like, what are you doing? He goes, my Achilles tendons are killing me. My step back it won't work tonight. I need that jump hook. And he made something that game. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It just tells you his confidence and tells you what kind of a player he was, just to have a game plan of what shots he was going to make that night.
So
preparation, man. Proper preparation, bro.
Have a game plan of what shots he was going to make that night.
So it set up for one of the greatest shootouts ever in the 7th game.
Despite Bird's brash words, the Hawks seemed unintimidated. And it would quickly become apparent that if Larry was to make good on his prediction, he would have to contend with a high-flying Dominique Wilkins, who would simply play the game of his life.
Jake O'Donnell's all set, and the tip goes to Boston.
We came into Game 7
tip off
with the right mindset,
get busy, man.
Believing that we would have a chance to win Game 7.
It was one of those Sundays in the Boston Garden, hot. Crowd crazy. They expected they were going to win. I don't think they expected to have a tussle like they had in that game.
Game 7 would go down as one of the greatest games in NBA history.
Dominique was an unstoppable player. No guy could guard him in the league man for man. You could see his competitiveness. You could see his determination in that Game 7.
Knock him up. Also not trying to go out like that. He's not trying to go out like that.
On the floor who could match his will.
Right-hand hook shot. That's a hook shot.
Is open. Do they want him to take that shot? With 6 points on the drive. Parrish picks the Bird. Gets the roll. Shooting hand wide open. Bird with a very difficult angle gets it to fall.
And I remember he only had 12 points going in the fourth quarter. I remember coming down the floor, and I remember myself, Larry Bird, and Kevin Willis. I really believe this. The reason why Larry Bird got so hot in that game, in that fourth quarter, Kevin Willis and I and Bird was running down the court, and we were running down the court, and Kevin reached across me, put his hands, and puts his finger in Larry Bird's chest, said, "Don't let this so-and-so score any more tonight." Kevin Willis came over and said, "Neek, don't let him score tonight." And Bird standing around next to him, I'm looking at Kevin. What you doing? What are you doing? You know, his Bird's eyes got like this big.
You don't want to awaken a sleeping giant. He got 12 points. Don't wake him
You know what
up.
I'm saying? You're not getting buckets right now. Chill, gang. That's basically what Dominic said. You're not even talking right now, gang. Shit.
Let him stay asleep. Yes. What you doing? You don't wake up a sleeping giant. And his eyes got that big. You know, it's like his eyes got this big. I look at Kevin, what are you doing? And from that point, it was a shooting match. That fourth quarter was unbelievable.
On the drive, Bird with a reverse wraparound. Wilkins from the perimeter. That's in the offense. Bird is open. Do they want him to take that shot? 3-on-1.
Larry was torturing him. Dominique was torturing me on when he had the ball.
That fourth quarter, maybe the best fourth quarter as far as mano-mano of all time.
Bird gets it in low on the
Post-fade.
Mano duel. Bird versus Wilkins.
Wilkins responds.
I got to come down there offensively. I got to carry the load now. I got to keep us going.
It's Bird's turn.
And I remember sitting down before the fourth quarter, and I'm watching the game.
And I remember they took me out for a blow, and Kevin and Cliff Livingston came in the game, and he got hot.
And I remember Coach said, "All right, Nick, go in there and slow him down." I said, "Slow him down."
He hot now. Forget that. That's the only thing I can do is try to match him bucket for bucket.
That's what turned out one of the greatest fourth quarters ever.
So we're playing, the ball goes up. You know how you clear space, you get that rebound every day. You're not even worried about it because I push it and I go up to get it. And all of a sudden, man, there's just a force all over my shoulder. He grabs it, he dunks it. You know those short shorts? They were right here. I tell you right now.
Yo, Dominique just got his own board.
And I was like, oh my, and Larry has the classic line. Larry goes,
getting your old board on the jump shot and dunking it on the putback.
I mean, he threw that thing down, and I was like,
that's
oh my,
crazy,
Larry
bro.
has the classic line. Larry goes,
yo, bro, the camera switch.
Box that guy out.
Oh, you see
I
it?
suggest you put a body on him. That was one of the craziest things ever. I'd never seen a guy that high in my life. He just threw it down.
Short shorts right here, huh, kid?
Right here, baby. That was not, I still have nightmares about that, Smitty.
Obviously.
You had 47 in that game. Larry Bird had 34, but 20 of those
in that quarter. But like I said, I think he ended up with 34 for the game.
And the duel continues.
I don't think it was so much edge they had. I just thought it was a player that they had, and that was Larry Bird.
It's Bird's turn.
Who basically put the team on his shoulders in that fourth quarter.
The Celtics are ahead of the Atlanta Hawks. 84-82. Will return to the Garden.
And make it easier for him to bring the ball up.
Bird now cuts free.
The defense.
Tied at 88. With Bird again pulling up. Putting Boston ahead.
Bottoms.
Bird attempting to break free. Stays with it in the foul.
That was in this game, no, bro. He was no wonder he was hot. He's like, nah, I'm making everything. It's over.
We're up by 7. Dominique
Free
hits a
foul.
3. Lead to Bird off the fake. Improves his position.
Larry in that mold. He got
Ties it for Atlanta.
You know, Dominique was pretty much the whole game. Larry, the fourth quarter, kind of then, carried their team. That's what made him so great.
Bird cuts free, left hands in for the field goal. This is a type of game. Who's going to blink first? Wilkins responds. Sideline between the two of them. It's Bird's turn. And it gets it back. And Dominique.
Oh, nice.
Bird snaps free.
Oh, with the double. Too tight. Face up, not good.
Johnson gets it into Bird, and Wilkins is there. Bird comes free. We began the broadcast by telling you about Larry Bird, who, following the Game 6 victory by the Celtics in Atlanta, guaranteed a win in number 7, saying the Hawks blew their chance by losing number 6. Larry Bird started the game slowly, but here in the fourth period, he has shown you why he's a future Hall of Famer. 20 points this quarter. He is 9 of 10 in this period. He has hit his last 6 field goals, and as far as Larry Bird is concerned,
this is the finals, right?
Get the ball to Larry and let him make the read, because if they come double, he's going to make the right play. And the game wasn't that complicated for him, and he made some tough shots. Like I said, some left-handed running hooks, and and again, he wasn't feeling great at that time of the year, at that moment, and to watch him just gut it out and just to will his body to even finish that game, let alone score 20 in the fourth quarter of a Game 7 is mind-boggling to me.
Larry Bird that night was, listen, he was unbelievable, and he was so clutch. Meek was just as clutch that night. It's just that Larry in the fourth quarter was unstoppable.
So clutch is not just the final 3 or 4 seconds of the game.
And the thing is, we were sending everybody at him to slow him down. He was so hot that I think one of the shots he hit was a left-handed 3. That's when you know a guy is in the zone.
Bird attempting to break free, stays with it, and the foul is called. The continuation for Larry Bird. The lead changes. The Celtics once were up by 7. Dominique hits a 3.
Because they knew who was going to get the ball. It's like Robert Parrish always said, 40,000 eyes on Larry Bird because they knew he was going to get the ball. And we knew it, our opponents knew it, and now it's just up to them to stop it.
Boston Celtics will win this series.
Man, he was doing a little bit of everything. I don't know really what he was doing in that fourth quarter, but the stuff that he was doing, it was unbelievable, man. I mean, he was throwing left-hand shots, running hooks. His game was at another level. We was trying to match each other's will.
20 of his 34 in the fourth quarter. Dominique had...
Yeah, Larry Bird hit more clutch shots, in pressure situations than any player.
I told you about each and every one, right?
You talked about Larry Bird saying someone's got to lose this game. When did he say that to you? Early in the fourth or late in the fourth?
No, it was late in the fourth quarter. It was probably like, I don't know, 30, 40 seconds to go in the game. I think it was a timeout, or we were taking the ball out of the bounds. I can't remember what it was, but I remember him saying that, and he said, we both deserve to win, but somebody got to go home. And, man, to his credit, man, he took the Celtics and put them on his back. And
he would call the spot.
Yeah.
But he never called the spot against me. That's kind of disrespect.
When I tell people Larry Bird talk trash.
Yes, and let you know. Every time.
But it ain't the trash. It wasn't the trash word with the meaning. It was like, I'm going to shoot left-handed this time.
Right.
Or why you put a white boy guard? You got a white guy.
Pretty much that was it. I mean, that was one of the greatest performances I've seen from a guy in those circumstances. Because you're talking about 7th game in the playoffs. To carry his team the way he did in that fourth quarter.
When you talk about the clutch shots, he hit 10 clutch shots.
I was going to say
that game.
It was crazy too, because it's rare in a game you feel it. Like, you guys have been in games where after the games, people say, man, that was the most amazing game, but you were in it. And you're like, I didn't feel that. I knew it was a good game.
Right.
That was one of the few games I was saying, this was a hell of a game right now. It was a hell of a game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
he's like poetry in motion. I mean, he knew how to play the game before you even got to him.
And it was a shootout in the fourth quarter. It came down to the last shot.
One left to ponder what might have been. The other to lead his team onward.
Sheesh. And that's the end of this one, y'all. Y'all know what to do, man. If y'all enjoyed, share the video on your social medias with your peoples. It'll help your boy out. Click on the last reaction. Like the video, comment, and subscribe. And I'm out of here, man.